Hello, my friends. I'm speaking to you from my dear friend's study here in the outskirts, the burbs of Chicago. And this is, I believe, the only time that I have been on a different time zone for our loops and scoops. And so I'm having the experience that I imagine some of you are having, where it's not first thing in the morning that you're coming together. And I'm a little phlegmy today, so pardon the phlegm. uh, what I was thinking of for I was at a conference this weekend, and I got a chance to share a lot of our processes, and one of the ones that I love so much is what we call the basic toss, where we first play with tossing a balloon and the quality of both connection and connection that come from playing with a balloon. And I was just noticing how much fun all of these adults were having with a game that they maybe hadn't played in decades, of playing with a balloon, and that even adults get captured by balloons, and start having fun and, and start, playing around and laughing and spontaneity. And so I was tuning into that and thinking, well, how about we do our loop of awareness, like by first letting yourself imagine that your toss is a balloon, and that you're sharing it out into the world, and then just noticing where it goes, and then bringing the balloon back to you, imagining somebody is sending the balloon back to you, and letting it just bounce on you, and notice what parts it might be touching, and like what color balloon would you choose. I had a variety of colors, and I chose yellow, and just the color of yellow and how that shaped what I was doing. So I wanted just to have you imagine that you've got a balloon that maybe you can just toss up from your shoulder, and let it toss up, or you can toss it up from your elbow, and letting yourself create that quality of lightness. Because so much of our attention, especially if someone says pay attention, it feels heavy, and maybe pointy. But what if it were a balloon of a color that you really like, and it just bounces off you, and kind of wakes up that area of you. So I'd love for you to let yourself first play with tossing the balloon up, and then letting it land on a part of you, and then tossing it up again, and then letting it land on a part of you, and just notice what happens. For me, what happened was that I got happier. I just, from doing that, I got happier. And, I felt lighter in my body, and I felt more spontaneous and more dimensional. So you can toss it with your head, you can toss it with your butt, you can, toss it with your knees. And then when it's the coming back down of the balloon has, that soft, glidey quality. So just play with that for a little bit until you get the sense of lightness and play and tossing in your body. So just do that for a little bit. What I also notice is that my breath gets more both expanded, but also reaches more areas. So I can feel it coming up here under my collarbones, and I can feel it up under my arms, like I'm creating wings. And then just pause for a moment and notice that quality of lightness, and notice where you're experiencing it, and maybe notice where you're not experiencing it. So there might be a place in you that's feeling still a little heavy. And I'd love for you to toss the balloon and let it kind of boink. You know how when a balloon hits you, it kind of goes boink. Letting it boink you into waking up that place of you. So you could add sound effects if you want to. You could add your own boink or whatever sound of the balloon hitting you, so that you're just playing with that. And you could play with different rhythms of the tossing. So much of, I think, our daily life right now has a quality of heaviness and slogging through and difficulty and uh, that I realized when we were playing with the balloons that it very quickly gave me an entirely different way of moving through the world. So what I want to have you play with now is your balloon, letting your balloon, like having a balloon toss of your attention. So rather than aiming your attention, I'd like you to toss your attention out and notice where it lands. So I have a little bit of a curtain with me, so I'm in front of me, so I'm going to toss it up over there. And since I'm in a brand new place, I'm curious about, ooh, out here is a bush that's budding with these beautiful little pink flowers on it, and there's wind going, so there's a little bit of action and blowing and the trees blowing. And then let's imagine the environment tossing the balloon back to you and letting yourself receive that. When we were playing, one of the things we were doing was trying to keep the balloon from the other. And so we were playing with bad tossing to begin with. And so grabbing the balloon and really hugging it to you, my balloon, and my color. And yeah, I'm giving attention to me, sort of hugging the balloon. And I love also I can make little squishy sounds on the balloon, like you can make it go. And so the whole idea of having a balloon or having a ball is really like the fundamental play tool that we need. And that's all kids need all over the world. If you give them a ball, you give them a balloon, off they go into all kinds of different games. And so I want to invite you now then to do a little bit more tossing to different areas of you and notice what a tossing motion might be like for you. Like if I'm tossing something from one part of me to another, what's that tossing motion feel like? And how can I make that luxurious and playful and delicious to just kind of be waking up all of these different parts of me. So no matter what time of day it is, having, tossing your attention back and forth is refreshing. So let yourself just pause for a moment and kind of do a little body scan of what you're experiencing. And notice if tossing has created any more circulation of aliveness, any more awareness. I'm noticing that I'm noticing colors more just from a little bit of the tossing back and forth. Now, I want you to imagine that you're in a meeting or you're in a big conference where tossing would be maybe even frowned upon, but how could you toss energetically? So how could you gather up your energy and toss it out? Maybe even trying tossing it out to the whole group here. So gathering your attention and your energy and then just tossing it out like, here you go. Here you go. Here's some attention for you. And then here I go. Here's some attention for me. Beautiful. And then here you go. And you might even want to aim it at somebody on the call, like really gathering the balloon and going, boom, and really tossing it to somebody and then noticing energetically how that happened. Now, let yourself do that all energetically so that you're doing it with your intention, you're doing it with your vision, but you can let yourself, wiggle and stuff. But if you were doing this in a meeting, let yourself imagine how just tossing the energy in with that acknowledgement of others, how that would begin to weave connection and weave presence with you all. Yeah, beautiful. And the tossing, the quality of tossing to me also has it's not exactly frivolous, but it's like a lightness and a sort of anti-serious. like, life can be serious and we do not have to move through life seriously. And so for me, tossing had this, especially tossing my attention, had this quality of, just opening up that everything can be played through. So I'd like you to just again notice any place in your body that maybe feels more heavy or tight or, thick. And I'd like you to imagine that the balloon is inside you. It's maybe tiny, but it still has the same qualities. And you're tossing it around inside of you and getting that quality of, it's almost a little energetic tickle. That's how I experience it, as this little kind of and so noticing what it's like for you to toss the balloon around inside of you. Beautiful. Great. And Michelle, what time do we have? I don't have my watch with me, so I just want to check and see what time it is.
About 9:11.
Okay. Excellent. So, how can you send your energy from a different place? How can you toss? Like, imagine tossing the balloon with your belly and tossing it out. And notice tossing it from your heart and receiving the balloon in your heart. And imagine tossing it from your back. And for me, it also allows me to give that attention to that part of me and be including and weaving more and more of attention and presence. So let yourself check and see, how are you experiencing your quality of presence right now? And yeah, and what I'm really loving is that as you're noticing, I'm noticing that you're letting your body respond to that. So your body go, oh, I think I want to. Yeah. So I love you letting your body respond to your attention. And I notice, and I bet you do too, like when you look at somebody, they eventually or immediately they're going to know you're looking at them, and there's this reaction, even though intellectually they may not know that their body reacts to attention. And so I love to, as I'm going through the world, I toss my attention regularly. I'm just tossing it in a kind of a hello, and I see you and I'm welcoming you, and oh, cool hat. And, it's like, particularly because I was in an airport and I hadn't been in an airport in about a year. And the other thing that I noticed is from the practice of loop of awareness, I consistently slow down. I can feel myself dropping more into what we call essence pace rather than vroom, 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 vroom in the adrenaline pace that most of society moves through. And there's a place in the Chicago airport, if you've ever been there, where you go under the runways, and there's a walkway that has a kind of all these colors. It's kind of psychedelic because they're going, and there are these walkways. And what I experienced was an actual river of people, because they were going, whoa, and I felt me like I was the balloon that was just kind of bouncing along and enjoying the ride, and not having myself located way out in front of me. So one of the benefits of letting yourself circulate your attention is that you begin to move at a pace that supports your aliveness and supports your ease, rather than supporting the go and do and go and do. So I wanted to leave you this week with, it's just the whole, the balloon toss of energy, the balloon toss of attention, and just a couple of minutes of that I find to be very refreshing. If I'm between activities or I've just finished a long work day, this can be a way that you can really refresh yourself. So because I didn't bring my integrity cards with me. I asked Michelle if she would pick one for today. And so I would love it if you would pull that up and pull up both sides of it, because so I can see it too, and I can read to you. Yeah. So let's first take a look at the collage. And what I'd like you to do is that same kind of tossing, with letting yourself toss your energy into the picture, and then letting the picture toss energy back inside you. This is, when I'm looking at that, isn't that wonderful? Because I could imagine him having just tossed a balloon. He has that look. And then also the wide openness, of wonder, the doorway into different environments. I experience this really a gorgeous card. So even without any words or any questions, I receive so much loving awareness and curiosity and wonder from looking at this. So notice how that impacts you. And then let's take a look at the questions. So, oh, beautiful. I listen to others accurately, appreciatively, and to invite wonder. So I love that when I'm looking at the collage, I really get that whole quality of taking in what's going on around me and appreciating it. And then appreciation leads to wonder, and wonder leads to, a whole new playing with what's going on around you. So here's the question: in what ways can I learn to speak that are free of blame and invite wonder? The our sound, which many of you have experienced, really allows you the to shift out of critical brain into wonder brain. And imagine that you are gathering what you want to say, that it comes from wondering, it comes from curiosity. And that leads you, rather than something that you want to prove, something that you want to be right about, and that your listening and speaking come more from wonder and from tossing, rather than from I know and you don't. So this conscious communication card, I find if people focus on listening as a primary.
Oh, we lost you there, Katie. There you are.
Listening from that appreciation, am I listening accurately to what they're saying? And my intention, oh, I'm just getting your internet connection is unstable. So if I disappear, it's not me, it's not you, it's the internet. We can blame the internet. But I invite you this week to, rather than trying to master all of these skills, really the most valuable one is, am I listening for accuracy? Am I listening appreciatively? And even if I'm not doing it perfectly, my intention gets received. Other people will know. So, and I'll also say, did I get that? And they'll say, no, not quite. But I can hear that they hear that I'm really doing my best to receive them. And that is the most important thing. So don't let trying to do this perfectly get in your way, because your intention, especially because many of you have been practicing loop of awareness for a long time, your intention gets carried on your loop of awareness, and the other person actually receives it. It is, if we could take pictures of that, and someday we'll be able to take pictures of actually seeing the energy transmitted back and forth. But I find that the focus on listening appreciatively brings a big reward. So that's what I'd love to leave you with as I go back to visiting with my dear friend that I hadn't seen in a year. And I appreciate you being here on the call today, and please stick around and share with each other as long as you'd like to. And I look forward to seeing you from home base, if all goes well, next week. So, take care, everybody.